Well, it's Memorial Day weekend, and so you know what that means, right? We can get half off on a mattress down the street. Swimming pools are going to be opening up. There's cookouts to go to. It's the start of summer, right? It's the unofficial start of summer. That's what this weekend has kind of turned into. When I was looking back at the history behind Memorial Day and why this holiday was celebrated and where it came from, and what I realized is that we've gotten quite a bit away from that original meaning and from the original intent behind this day. You know, I hear every year around Christmas people talking about how, oh, we've lost the meaning of Christmas and it's so commercialized now. And, you know, we could have that discussion. Maybe there's some value to that. But I realized just this other day that Memorial Day is really a day that we've lost the meaning behind. That we've lost the real intent behind what this holiday stood for and what it meant. Now, the very first Memorial Day was called Decoration Day. And the idea behind this tradition began on May 5th of 1868, just a few years after the Civil War, when General John Logan issued his General Order Number 11. And if you'd like to go look up that General Order, you can find it online. It's a big, lengthy thing. But the gist of that General Order was that on a certain day, soldiers and civilians alike were to spend part of their time in reflection and decorating the graves of soldiers that were killed in the Civil War battles, to honor those soldiers that lost their lives saving a nation that was about to be ripped in two. And so he made this proclamation. Churches got on board with it, and the idea was you would attend a church service, and then following the service, everybody would process out into the graveyards that were on the grounds at the church, and they would decorate the graves of the soldiers. They would adorn them with flags and remember what they'd given to save the nation. And so on May 30th of 1868, the very first Decoration Day was held. And it became an annual tradition. Now, interestingly enough, the South refused to participate. They decided they'd have their own day to honor the Confederate soldiers that were killed in the war. And it wasn't really until after World War I when the day expanded to honor all soldiers killed in battle and wounded in battle that the South began to participate. They still had their own day for honoring the Confederate soldiers, but they participated in the holiday. And so what I realized is that this day is about more than sales, it's more than barbecues, it's more than getting to go to the swimming pool for the first time in months. It's our day to say, we honor you. We remember you. It's our day to say to those who they left behind, we remember your loved ones. We remember what they gave in service to this country. Now, I wish I could say I understood why we turned to war instead of seeking peaceful solutions. I wish I could say I understood why it was necessary for us to have men and women who were willing to put their lives on the line to defend the United States. I can't. And you know what? I'm not even going to try. Because today isn't a day for debating the justifications for or against war. It's not a day to argue about whether or not we should get involved in any sort of armed conflict. Today is a day to simply look back at the more than 1.3 million men and women who have given their lives in service to the United States of America since 1776, and to say thank you. To say we remember you, we honor you. And so we're going to have an opportunity to honor those men and women who have given everything in service to the United States. But before we do that, we have four very special flags that are up here with us today. And I'd like to tell you a little bit about these flags and the lives and the service that they represent. You see, each one of these flags represents one of the parents of a member of our Unity Church of Overland Park staff. We have this flag and this display in honor of Colonel Nathaniel B. Sauvé, the father of Jane Sauvé, our business manager. Colonel Sauvé served in the Pacific during World War II. He was classified as G2. He worked in the intelligence portion of the service. And following the war, he remained on as a reservist. But his professional career, Colonel Sauvé worked for the oil company. He worked for Standard Oil of New York as a geophysicist. He went out and surveyed land. Now, he was born in Denver, Colorado, earning degrees in law and in engineering before joining the U.S. Army at the outbreak of World War II. Colonel Sauvé died just months before his 90th birthday in San Diego, and his ashes were scattered in the Pacific Ocean because Colonel Sauvé always wanted to swim with dolphins. This flag and this display is for Jane's mother. Ellen Mildred Bailey was lovingly called Nani. She also served in the Pacific during World War II. She was classified as G1 and worked in the personnel field. She retired after her military service at the conclusion of the war. And interestingly enough, even though they both served in the Pacific, it wasn't until after the war when she met her husband, Nathaniel. They met in New York, had a whirlwind romance and 3 children, but she was born in Houston, earned a degree in journalism, and she too died at the age of 89 in San Diego. Her ashes are also scattered in the Pacific Ocean, swimming with dolphins with her husband. This flag and display here is for the father of our executive ministry assistant, Sandy Keeler. It's the flag of Robert Bob Keeler. He entered the service in 1942 and served in the 87th Armored Field Artillery Division. Landed on Omaha Beach on D-Day +1, participated in the liberation of Paris, liberated a concentration camp, received a commission as first lieutenant, fought in the Battle of the Bulge, and 50 miles outside of Berlin was wounded and lost both of his legs in service. And so First Lieutenant Keeler has received the Distinguished Service Cross, 2 Silver Stars, and a Purple Heart for his service to this country during World War II. And over here is the flag for Captain John Thomas Chapman, the father of our communications director, Jan Chapman. Captain Chapman was born and raised in River Falls, Wisconsin, which many of us here are familiar with because it was the former home of the training camp for the Kansas City Chiefs. But his post-war aspirations included becoming a commercial airline pilot. That was what he wanted to do when he came home, and having 5 children with his beautiful wife, Sandy. Captain Chapman served in Vietnam. He flew the Sikorsky Sea Stallion helicopters that would transport heavy equipment and troops and machinery back and forth. And while he was in Vietnam, he wrote every 3 days back to his family. He even recorded reel-to-reel messages back to his daughter, Janet. I'm told she even has one of him singing the alphabet song, very, very off-key, but singing to her nonetheless. And it was while he was transporting 42 troops in heavy monsoon conditions on January 8th of 1968 that the helicopter Captain Chapman was flying collided with a mountain, and all on board were lost. Captain Chapman is buried in the Jefferson Barracks National Cemetery in St. Louis, Missouri. And so each of these flags, each one of these displays, it represents the life, the service of someone who touched one of the staff members here at this community. And following our service today, I'd encourage you to come up and take a look at them. But I also know that there are more than just these individuals who have had friends and family members who've been lost in service to the United States of America. And so what I would like to do is to give each one of you an opportunity to come forward, to light a candle in the name of that friend or that loved one who gave their life in service of this country, to light a candle to say that we remember, that we honor your sacrifice, and that we will never forget who you were and what you gave to all of us. So we'll begin with this candle, which I'll light from our Christ light. And Reverend Bob, if you would join me. And we'll light our two side candles. And Reverend Bob and I will stay here to continue to hold this prayerful space, this space of blessing and memory for those who have been lost. At this time, I would like to invite any of you who have lost a friend or a loved one in service to this country to come forward and light a candle in their name. If at any time they've served. And we light this candle in honor of the unknown, in honor of those soldiers known only to God. I'd like to invite you to stand. And to join me in a moment of silence as we look at these lights. With grateful hearts, we honor you. With grateful hearts, we remember you. And so it is. Amen. You may be seated. I look at these lights that have been lit, and I think about this day, this weekend, what this holiday symbolizes. And yes, I do feel honor and respect, but at the same time, I can't help but feel a sense of gratitude. And when I first realized that was what I was feeling, I kind of had this thought of, really, gratitude? How could you be grateful for a loss of life? And then I realized something. You see, gratitude it's the great multiplier in our world. And when we look back at those people that came before us, those people that paved the way for who we are becoming and who we're being called to be, I can't help but feel grateful for the presence that they've left in my life. And I really thought of it last week when I listened to Daniel and Ahmad talking about this idea of water and how the water had carved the red rocks in Utah where he was spending time, and thousands and thousands of years that the water carved that out. And how we too could be like that water. And I realized that it was those people that came before us, those people that paved the way for us, that carved the reality that we experience. Just like the water carves out those rocks, these people carve and create the reality that we experience today. And so when I take the time to be grateful for that, when I take the time to say thank you to those people that are no longer here, well, it takes the love that I already am, the love that I already have, and it multiplies it. It grows. It takes the connection that I have to that past, to that history, and it grows. And so when we take these opportunities to say thank you, to say we remember you, we remember the difference that you made in our lives, well, it makes that light shine in us just a little bit brighter. And so we're going to have another opportunity to express that gratitude. Or in just a few moments, Reverend Bob is going to join me up here again. And this time I'd like to invite any one of you to come up and to light a candle in the name of someone who has touched your life, someone who inspired you to be all that you are right now, someone who made a difference, who made you understand how that light shines within you in a greater way. Someone who's transitioned from this physical experience of life, but whose experience, whose history still touches us today, whose memory still lives on. And so, Reverend Bob, if you would join me up here. We'll begin with just a moment of prayer, and then As you feel led, come up and light a candle in the name of someone who inspired you. And if there's more than one person that inspired you, I would just like to encourage you that whoever has inspired you, speak their name as you light that candle. And if it's more than one person, just light the one candle, but speak as many names as you would like. And so if it's comfortable for you, let's close our eyes and allow that moment, that face, that name to come into your mind. And as it does, we allow our hearts to fill with gratitude. Gratitude for these way showers. Gratitude for these teachers. Gratitude for this moment, this opportunity that we have to say thank you. Thank you for all that you did to make me who I am. Thank you, and I remember you. And so as we maintain this prayerful space, please just come up as you feel led to light a candle in their name. So let's breathe. Each one of these candles, each one of these lights that symbolizes the difference that someone made in our lives. But you know what really strikes me about these candle lights is the truth that this same light is burning within each and every one of you. The same light that was ignited by someone else shines in you in this moment. And so as we go forward today, as we move throughout our lives, we do so, yes, with the memory of those who shaped our life. Yes, with the respect and honor for those who came before us. But we also do so with the commitment to allow this Christ light to shine brightly within us, to always turn to that light of God, that inspiration of God that is within us, so that we know that when we finally leave, we can say that we too left this place better than we found it. God bless you.